KCAA. It's that time, ladies and gentlemen, live from Hawaii. This is the Roseanne Barr Talk Radio Show. And now, here's Roseanne Barr.
Welcome, KCAA listeners. Welcome to Roseanne Live, the show where you will hear the point of view that you won't get in the mainstream media, the point of view that you rarely even get in the alternative media. So, welcome. Hello, Roseanne Live. Hello, Roseanne.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi, Kathleen. Well, we have an interesting show today, don't we?
Well, we're going to have an interesting show every week because our guests aren't typically the guests that you get in the mainstream media. And that's the difference because there's more than one point of view, yet the mainstream media only presents the status quo point of view. So we're going to get that point of view, which I think is also...
Well, aren't we getting basically an internet point of view? I mean, that's a whole completely different way of thinking than television media.
Television media never, Hey, you know what? I was driving into the studio today, and I was listening to the radio, and they said that there was a firefight in Kenya, and that some of the U.S. Naval SEALs were involved in firefight with some Kenya Al-Qaeda. They said they were involved with Al-Qaeda. So the question is, after we invaded Iraq, can we believe anything that we hear from the mainstream media? Can we? And that's something I'm going to ask our first guest.
That's a great question. I have to say no. I don't believe anything in any media because, it's all like just one or two or three movies replaying.
It's the same thing over and over and over again, and yet we keep falling for it. I mean, after the invasion of Iraq, I don't believe anything. Why would I? Why would I? And why would any American?
I don't know, I guess, because, it's part of mass mind control. It's the story we're telling ourselves, and we can't let go of it no matter the amount of harm it does to us. It's lemming. It's like lemming programming or something.
Yeah, and in fact, I think many of the House of Representatives are coming up for re-election. The question also is, why do we vote these same people back in again and again and again?
Well,
why?
I don't know that we do, because, like Stalin, who was a despot, I always say that for, people, right-wing types that are listening. He was a despot, but he said a couple good things. One of them was, it's not who votes, it's who counts the votes. And, of course, we already know that the system we use to count the votes here is it's fixed. People say, oh, the system is broken. It's not broken, it's fixed. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Kathleen, because you're a better moderator than me, and I'll jump in. Because I really I want to thank Michael Parenti, first of all, for saying such intelligent things, such as, we're being told over and over that there's no way we can change this broken system.
Okay, so before we bring on our first guest, Michael Parenti, our second guest is Phillip Giraldi, who is a former CIA officer. Let me tell you something about Michael Parenti. Michael Parenti is an internationally known award-winning scholar with a PhD in political science from Yale. His 25 books include The Face of Imperialism, God and His Demons, and The Assassination of Julius Caesar. He recently published an ethnic memoir of his child. I wonder what that means. I'm going to ask him. An ethnic memoir of his childhood entitled Waiting for Yesterday, Pages from a Street Kid's Life. Hundreds of his articles have been published in scholarly journals, popular magazines and newspapers, books of collected readings, and online publications. Dr. Parenti lectures frequently across North America and abroad. His work covers a wide range of subjects, including politics, history, empire, wealth, class, power, culture, ideology, media, environment, gender, and ethnic life. That sounds fantastic. That's everything except mass incarceration, which falls under politics. So, Mr. Parenti, welcome to Roseanne Live.
Hello, how are you? Nice to be on.
Thank you. It's wonderful having you.
Could I answer that question that you were posing before, how the American people get fooled and roped in? You know, the Kuwait War, which George Herbert Walker Bush had against Saddam Hussein, public opinion in this country was something like 70 or 80% against sending troops or fighting and bombing some other country. So what they do is they stoke up the fear factor. They demonize the leader of another country, and this gives them license then to bomb the people of that country. They tell the American people, this guy has weapons of mass destruction. He's worse than Hitler. His troops have ripped out the hundreds of babies from incubators and threw them on the floor and screaming. He'll come get us if we don't stop him. So once people are frightened that their own hearth and home is threatened, then they back their leaders. They can't believe that all is a lie. Their leaders must be telling them something urgent and must know something that they don't know. And so they end up, and the public opinion after Kuwait switched over from something like 70% against to something like 60% for. And so after that they kept, they didn't say weapons of mass destruction back then. That word came in a couple of years later. They said he has nuclear weapons, he has secret nuclear weapons, and we've got to stop him before something terrible happens. And this is what they did with Milosevic in Yugoslavia. This is what they're doing now in Syria, in Libya, and just about every country where they decide they're going to bomb and attack. They demonize the leaders and the ruling group, whatever.
Well, they don't have to go too far to demonize the rulers because they are demonic. I mean, they don't have to go far.
Yeah, but when Saddam Hussein was murdering and torturing people, but he was doing what the U.S. wanted on a number of other things. He kept the dollar currency reserve. He did a few other things. He was Washington's poster boy. It's only when he started going his own way and committing economic nationalism and saying to the British and American oil companies, no, we Iraqis are going to keep our own oil, and we don't. And he refused to privatize everything. Then suddenly he was an evil man who was out to get us. He was close to Al Qaeda's terrorism, which is not true. He had no links to Al Qaeda, no sympathy with Al Qaeda. As bad as he had his own sins and such. Well, I mean,
but he also moved, he moved away from a old way of thinking and had some, some good ideas. It was good for women during when he was in power.
Well, when I was in Iraq, I saw women walking around, and some of them were all shrouded up, they were Orthodox and such, but others weren't, and they dressed modestly, but they weren't all wrapped up in textile, lost to the tech world textile.
They sure know how to work the whole. Let me ask you a question. Do you think we could have a world free of war?
I don't think so, because I think the ruling interests use war as a weapon to subordinate people in other countries so they can go in and take over their land, their labor, their markets, their natural resources at great profit to themselves and at great loss to the people in those countries. So as long as that happens, war will be a very useful instrument, a way of keeping people and other countries in line. But these countries are waking up. I mean, more and more. Look at Correo in Ecuador, his comments about the U.S. thinking it's so exceptional and it's so unique. And he called that kind of a Hitlerian, a Hitler-like view that your country is somehow a master superior race of some sort, and you will lead the way and others must follow, when instead of treating countries like a family of nations where we all negotiate together on an equal basis.
Well, I want to get back to this issue about demonizing other people. I mean, one man's demon is another woman's angel, right? So, I mean, who holds the moral high ground to demon? Do we as the United States that's the question, do we as the United States hold the moral high ground to characterize someone else as a demon? That's the question.
No, we don't. If you look at our history, we had, the mass murder of the Indian nations, the 200 years of slavery followed by another 100 years of lynch mob rule, the breaking of unions, the exploitation of labor, the destruction to our environment here at home and abroad. The leaders do not have any claim to any special virtue of any kind. There are virtuous things in American history also. There are the women's movement, the gay movement, the civil rights movement, the movement by struggling for a better life. Those are things to be proud of. But what a struggle to get the inching along to a better world and get back the next year.
Do you think there's any way to fix the economic system?
I think you would need drastic revisions, a lot more public enterprise, and curbing the banks and the big corporations, and that's going to be a hard struggle to do.
What about community banks and all that stuff about micro lending and all these things that are pretty much proven to be, a real greening thing for the world?
Yeah, well, that after the Occupy movement came in, there were a lot of people who moved their money from big commercial banks to credit unions, and that federal credit unions are great. They're good. They're nonprofit, and you get the money gets readily put back into the community in terms of loans for small businesses, buying a car.
Yeah, like local banking instead of international banking. I think, maybe it wouldn't be war dependent either, because it would be like, we could devise something besides slavery and war and those kind of things on which to base an entire economic system, since this is a new century and all.
What's your...
Well, what I want to say is that we live, when we talk about the economics of this country, we have to address the fact that we live in a capitalist system. That's something that they discussed in the show before ours, that in this system there must be debt, there must be those who are on the bottom rung for capitalism to work. Do you agree with that, Michael?
That there must be always in every society, or what?
No, in a society that is, its economic principle is capitalism.
Yes, because the essence of capitalism is the accumulation of wealth for those at the top. That's the whole purpose. So they'll work you to death. If they could get away with it, and they are seeming to get away with it, they would eliminate minimum wage, not increase it. And in fact, what they're doing is an increase of minimum wage that is so minimal and so hypocritical. It's a perfect Obama ploy, the usual stuff. That we'll have $10 an hour minimum wage, but that won't be until 2016. Well, by then, who knows what inflation will be? I mean, it's not even keeping up with inflation at all.
Can I ask you a question?